Hello friends, today I am going to tell you about data types and literals with memory diagrams in this video. Okay, and most in YouTube videos I have seen that many of them are telling about data types and literals, but they are missing about these memory diagrams. So that I have decided to make a video on this memory diagrams. And in this memory diagrams, basically we are learning about what are the language basics in Java, and what are the data types, how they are used, and what is the need of these data types. And finally we are going to see about some literals and some exception or errors that are raised while using these data types. Okay, and coming to the data types. Okay, the first question is, what is the need of the data type for the Sun to introduce in Java? Okay, the main reason is these data types are used to store the data temporarily in computer through a program. Okay, this the data which we are entering, the data which we are storing in a program, that's stored temporarily in the JVM, and even after the execution of the data or the program, the JVM gets destroyed. So as usually the memory allocated for the data is also gets destroyed. That's the reason why I have used the word called temporary. Okay, first thing is temporary storage. Okay, and okay, now let us see something about the definition. Okay, and data types are something which gives information about size of the memory location and the range of the data that can be accommodated inside. And the second point is the data types tells something about size of the memory location, and one thing we have to remember is range. What is the range? What is the size? What is the range? We have to look on both these things, and I will tell you after introducing what are the types of data types about these sizes and ranges. Okay, now what we have learned is the definition of the data type, that is, this data type gives the information about the size of the memory location that is allocated for a variable, and the range of the range of the variable, it means how long, how much vast data it can be stored, what is the range of the data. And that's the thing which this data type tells. Okay, and have you ever got any question like types? What are the types of data types? Yes, definitely there are two kinds of data types are there. Actually here in this you can look three, but I am segregating. Please look here. Let me take this as reference data type. Okay, of course this can be of derived and this is a combination of derived data type and also user defined data types, but let us call this as reference data type so that you can see only two kinds of data types, like primitive data type, this is 1, and reference data type, this is of number 2. That's it. There are two kinds of data types, like primitive data type and derived data type. And of course, as you are seeing in this picture, you can note clearly that this is primitive data type is again classified into two types, numeric and non-numeric. Okay, and this numeric and non-numeric are further classified. Let us see more details. In numeric is classified into two types, like integer and float. Okay, and further integer is again classified into byte, short, int, long. Here we go. These are of integer data types, and float and double, these are of floating point data types. Okay, it means integer type of values can be stored in byte, short, int, long, and this floating point values can be stored in float and double. This is what happens. And coming to non-numeric data types, the name itself specifies that this type of data type is non-numeric, that is non-number. What are the non-numbers data types? Those are character and boolean data types. Okay, character stores any kind of alphabetical characters, and what boolean stores is true or false. That's it. And these true or false are not of any type of integer data types, right? That's the reason these are segregated into non-numeric data types. And if you take care and if you look in deeply, these primitive data types, are of 8. If you want, you can count it. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and of course char and boolean 7 and 8. So how many data types are there? There are 8 kinds of data types. Okay, and this is something short about primitive data types. And you might get a doubt, why this is primitive? This is primitive because these are predefined: integer, float, char, double. These data types are predefined data types. That means they are given by the Sun microsystem for the developers to store some values based on their types. That's the reason why they are primitive data types. Okay, and let us come to referenced data types. Now my question here is, please look here, my question is, why referenced data types? Why referenced? Of course, here we have primitive data types, and we are happy in storing all the primitive values by using primitive data types. Then what is the need of referenced data types? What is the urge, or what is the need to implement referenced kind of data types in Java? Okay, let us find a solution for that. Here, condition number 1, if I want to store different kind of data types, different kind of data types. Okay, let me take one int and one float and one double and one boolean. Okay, is any kind of primitive data type is supporting to store all these primitive data types? Integer can store integer, float can store only float, double can store only double, boolean can store only boolean. But there is no data type, or there is no specific data type to store all these values at a time. Okay, right? And here primitive data type fails. Whenever something fails, there comes a new solution, right? Here we go. Here comes a new solution, class first. In class, what we can do? We can write int a. Okay, let me take float as a number. Float f double d boolean b, and I'm closing this. Now I'm asking, is this illegal? Yes, definitely this is legal, because class can store different kinds of data types, different kinds of primitive data types. So what you can say this class as? Indirectly, this class is also data type. It is a data type. It is a data type that is specifying some primitive data types. Okay, and that is what referenced data type is. That's the reason why we are using referenced type. Whenever primitive data type fails, there we use referenced data type, and all this, what you can say, all these are reference data types. Now let us go in and see what all these are. So first thing is array. Okay, as we all know, array is used to store homogeneous values. Okay, here if we see arrays, it stores only same kinds of data types, and that's also a drawback of an array. We shall talk it about later. And next of strings, and next of class, next of an interface. We are going to talk all of this, but before we have to complete this primitive data type. Okay, and where are we? We are discussing about types of data types. Okay, simply this is the types of data types that are present in Java. Okay, primitive data types are of 8 and reference data types are of 4. Okay, and now my question is, here first I have promised that we shall deal with memory diagrams, right? And now I'm coming to the real scenario. Okay, here first thing is, what does JVM encounter and what does JVM do when it encounters with, see here, this one, int a. Okay, if you see here, int a, what compiler does, it checks whether the syntax is correct or not. Okay, and one thing I have to say here, first thing is compiler, what is doing, what it checks, compiler checks for syntax, and of course syntax is good, so compiler gets compiled and .class file is generated. But before after generating .class file, we are executing it. Then what JVM actually does, that's what we require, right? How memory is getting allocated. Okay, let us take this as a static. Okay, let me read completely so that you can get a clear idea. Okay, class sample. Okay, and in main method, okay, string arts, and you know all about this, so I better don't, I think there is no need of explaining all this. And okay, here what I'm doing is just saving here. Okay, simple. Now this is my simple class, and here what I have done is I have written an integer variable, and just look here, I'm compiling it. Okay, see here, if you see here, you can see Java compiler and output completed, normal termination. Okay, now this sample class is compiled, and here we go, you can see .class file is generated. See here, .class file and Java file both are there. That means the code which I have written is correct syntactically. Compiler checked and has given .class file. Now let me check about JVM. Here there are two scenarios which I would like to show you. Now look in JVM, what JVM does actually. Sorry, that's JVM. Okay, what actually JVM does is, whenever it encounters with an integer type, it checks whether memory is allocated in JVM or JVM or not. Okay, and this is a non-static variable. Non-static variable gets memory only when its constructor is invoked, right? That we all know. So there is no point like declaring like this. That's the reason what I'm doing, I'm taking it as a static variable because static gets memory allocated when we compile it. Now let us see, is there an error? Yes, we have an error. See here, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Illegal start of expression. Please remember this expression. Okay, illegal start of expression. That means this is one kind of error which we get when we are dealing with the data types, and there are many kinds of errors like this, and I will talk of that in later. And now I am removing this static and saving it. Okay, and now okay, just I'm compiling it. Yes, compile, there is no error. So one thing we have to understand that when I used previously static keyword, what's wrong? We got an error that illegal start of expression, and once I have removed this static keyword, my program automatically compiled and there is no logical error. Why static keyword is not allowed? Because when we see here main method is a static method, right? And inside static method there is no chance of allowing any kind of static variables, because static method gets memory allocated in JVM. However, because JVM, guys, if you are still getting confused, please look at my another video, JVM architecture. There you can get actual idea how this memory is getting allocated. Now I can't go as deep because time is not sufficient. That's the reason why I am concentrating only on this integer variable but not all the memory diagram and all. And so this is a static variable, right? In JVM, what happens? Main method. Okay, as main is static method, obviously it gets memory allocated, and whenever JVM encounters with a line or a code like this, what JVM does is it checks whether the method is static or not. Of course it's static, then definitely its internal values are also need to be assigned or it needs to be allocated. Then what does, as general, a variable is created. Okay, and the thing many people are forgetting is one thing you have to remember, that it is first declared or initialized with its default value 0. If it is an integer, its default value is 0. If it is a string, its default value is null. Okay, and if it's a float, its default value is 0.0. okay, now this is an integer, right? That's the reason why here 0 is allocated, 0 is taken. And now because of this assignment, this equals to 10, this 10 gets over this 0 gets overridden by 10. Okay, that's the reason. Simple. This is how actually memory gets allocated. And I have got some pictures for you from one of the textbook. You can see here what exactly happening here. You can notice this. Here I have taken a byte. Okay, I have taken a byte variable that is equal to 50. Okay, and how this gets memory allocated, see here, this is of variable name and this is the size. The size is of 1 byte. 1 byte of size is allocated, and it's, of course you can see here the memory 1010. Just I have taken as 1010 for better understanding. And this is not actual memory that is allocated by JVM. This is taken by me, 1010, and the 50 is the variable which you have taken here. Simple. And that's how a variable gets memory declared. And now I think you are aware. Okay friends, now we have came to know that how a primitive data data type is getting its memory in JVM. We are happy with that. Developers are happy and clients are happy. Everybody is happy. Then all of a sudden we have got one problem. Look at here. Okay, for one variable, okay, I am satisfied with this, but I am taking some 100 variables. Let's look at the diagram. Okay, memory gets scattered here and there because it's a wish of JVM and it's not our wish to allocate memory. We can't say that you have to allocate only here, you should not allocate there, here and there. That's not actually our task. It's JVM task and it's JVM headache where it should allocate the memory. Okay, as of now we can see here there are different areas where our memories get allocated. Of course, in program we have written in a serial order. See here, we have written everything in serial order, but bad luck is JVM has allocated in different memories. And here this is let us take this as a problem 1, and also this is a limitation of primitive data types which allowed or which forced Sun Microsystems to implement reference types. Please concentrate and look at here. For instance, if we store 1 to 100 variables, those 100 variables are created across JVM in different locations. Okay, and if you want to retrieve the last number, let us take this 100. If you want to retrieve this 100, what JVM does actually goes here, not there, and goes here, not matched, not matched, not matched, not matched. In the same way, it is coming here, not matched, not matched, here it is matched. Okay, after so many searchings it is getting. Okay, how many searchings? 1 2 3 4 5, some like 6 7. After 6 7 searchings it is getting the value. Suppose in worst case, what is this? You can take this. How about this? Let me take this as I have some variable like 87. Okay, to search 87, JVM starts here and here and here, and at last finally it gets. Is it not don't you think this is a time waste? Definitely this is a time waste, because in searching the performance of our program gets bad and worse. This is the problem with primitive data types. Then definitely there would be a solution, right? What is the problem? The values are getting scattered here and there in the memory by JVM. So we need to tell JVM that these are of same group data types and you have to store all this in a sequence order, right? I have to tell JVM that please store these values in a sequence order in your memory. Okay, and how I can tell that, I will talk to you later about this topic. Okay, just I will give a hint that we will use an array. Array is a sequential memory or not? Yes, array. By using array, we are indirectly telling to JVM that these are of same kind of data types or these are of homogeneous data types. By please store these values in a sequence order so that I can retrieve the values immediately in a faster way. Okay, and you have understand that this is a problem, right? Let us see another problem that is in local computer. And how about client and server architecture? This is the real time. This is what actually happens in a company. This is the real time, and here the client is sending 1 bit of data to server. Okay, it is accessing, of course, and it's coming back. Well and fine. And 2, the same process. 3, the same process. 4, the same process. Up to hundreds or any number of the values he is giving. All the times it needs to contact the server, it needs to come back. It needs to contact the server, it's a need to come back. And it is not only decreasing the performance of our Java program, but also decreasing what I can say, database performance also. Every time it needs to get into database, it needs to search everywhere in the database, or it needs to search everything in the server computer, and it needs to fetch. It's a lot of time taking process, and it cannot be happen in a single call. See here, if I have 100 variables, I need to call 100 times. is there any way that I can club all these 100 variables in a single unit and I can pass it, right? Same here also I can suggest array. Okay, in array we can combine all the variables of same data type and we can pass it within one shot or within one class, one call, and we can get the output also as the same way within the one shot. Okay, and the solution is this simple. We have understand that. And now all of I'm talking about array. We have seen this array in C and in C++ and also in Java. We all guys knows about what is an array and how to implement an array. Of course, some know how is memory allocated for array also. And here I'm trying to tell you something more about an array. Please look at here. I have taken a byte array. See here, I have taken a byte array of 100 variables. What I'm telling to JVM that this array is of contains same data types. Please store in a sequence order. That's what. If you see here in memory, what is created? One pointer is created. Oh, what is this pointer? In Java there is no pointer. Yes, yeah, this is not a Java pointer, but this is dictionary pointer. That means this variable is pointing to some memory, something. It is pointing to something. That's it, not more than that. Please don't get confused with Java pointer and C pointer. C pointer is different from Java pointer, right? And this is a complex issue. We need to talk more about this, but not here now. If guys anybody want about this difference, please comment on my video so that I can give another video for you. And here we have to see b variable, and b variable with let me take a address as 1010, and in background you can see a sequence of memory is created for all these 100 variables. And see what are these numbers, 0 1 2 3. Many of our know these are index values. We can access any value of this array by using index values, right? And nothing more than that I'm going to tell you, because you guys are smarter than me. And okay, now tell me, we got a solution and all of a sudden we got a problem also. Here if you observe in this entire diagram, I can store only byte kind of values here. Then what about integer values? Yes, of course I can use integer array. Some says I can use integer array. And how about double? Some says yes, no problem, I can take a double array. And store all the double values. Now my point is, and already I have told you how I can store a byte value, a integer value, and also a double value within one array. Is it possible? Is there any kind of array that stores all different kinds of data types in one array? Right? This is really a problem. And this is a real problem in real time, and this is also an array limitation. Here we have to see. Okay, let us talk about what are array limitations. Okay, array is a fixed size. Okay, here if you want to store 100 values, we have to store only 100 values. More than 100 values, it is not possible to store more than 100 values. Okay, it is a fixed value. That means it allows us to store only values not more than that size. Okay, and it will also not allow us to store different data type values. Okay, then what is the solution, guys? That's nothing but it's a class which we regularly use in any Java program. Let us take even hello world Java program also, we use class. Because array failed, Java has introduced class, and where class takes the representations of an array that stores different kinds of data types. And also see here, here array failed, right? Now instead of array, what we got? Class. If you see here, we have used class, right? Of course, everybody knows without class there is no Java program. So now let us discuss something about class. Now guys, have you understand? I think you have understood all about this array architecture and how memory is allocated, and I think no more depth is required. If required, please let me know. And I'm moving to class. These are the screenshots that I have taken in a book we record because knowledge is scattered everywhere. I need to collect and present. Okay, and look here, I have taken a class. Of course, we know class stores different kinds of data types, and here is the proof for that. Here, if you want, you can say have stored a byte variable, a int variable, a character variable, also double array. Double array, it means class not only stores primitive types. These are primitive types, right? Primitive types, right? And what is this? This is an array. This is of reference data type. Reference data type. Okay, class not only stores primitive types but also reference types. Okay, now my question is there any primitive data type to store reference data type? There is no primitive data type. Their primitive data type fails, and that's the reason why reference data type is used. And of course, in some reference data type like array also failed in some cases. That's the reason why we have come up with class. Okay, you can see here this is a class, and everybody knows how to make an object, how to create an object for a class. Okay, here why I have used object, you need to understand one thing. Data types are of static and also non-static. Please be caution. Data types are of two types like primitive and reference, and data types can be static type or non-static type. What's the difference between static and non-static? You come across some situations. Why do I need to use static variables, and where do I need to use static variables? Okay, and just as a glimpse I'm giving static variables. When static variable is created in JVM, only one copy of memory is created. If you want, you can see only one copy of memory is created. Let me take static int a, then only one copy of memory is created. And if you use non-static, then definitely for initialization you need to use an object. Because of this object, our non-static variables gets initialized, which I will discuss with you in my future videos, how an object is created and what is the need of creating an object for non-static variables, and why non-static variables are initialized only when creating an object. That's a big task, and that's a big topic we need to discuss in another video. Now guys, please come to our topic. Here what I have taken byte, integer, character, and double array, and also a string. As there is no static keyword in its declaration types, we have to assume that, or we have to just think that these are of non-static variables. All these are of non-static variables, and I have told you as these are non-static variables gets initialized only when we create an object. See here, I have taken class as data type demo. dd is equal to new data type demo. And guys, one thing here, this is a class name, this is an object name, this is a new keyword, of course you all know, and this is not a class method but this is a constructor. Because of this constructor, values are getting initialized. Okay, now please see here, I have created an object. Okay, this dd, what we are creating here in memory, see, it is created. Okay, and this is pointing to this object. in order to say practically, this is an object. Okay, I have to say this is an object literally, because only object can store different type of data types, like primitive data types and also non-primitive data types. Now look here, b is a byte variable that is stored here. Okay, see here, I have stored here. Okay, and integer I is equal to 20 that I have stored here. Okay, you guys can see, I think you guys can see this picture, and char I have stored here. Okay, now here comes the real problem for us. Then how an array can be stored in an object? Okay, here, see here, array, because this contains of some 5 values, and how can I store 5 values in one memory? That's not possible, right? We can store 5 values in one memory, because one memory is allocated only for one value. Then how? This is the solution. We are creating background. We are creating another object by JVM, not by us, it's by JVM. It is creating at the same way this 1010 memory is stored. Okay, the same way here the memory allocated for this array is stored. That means this is referencing, this d variable is referencing that array. This d is referencing that array, so that when you want, you use index values. That's the reason why array concept is introduced with indexes, because when you want something, like let us take I want to retrieve first value, then what I do, d of I call 1. Okay, let me take, okay, first value, right, d of 0. Okay, and when I call this d of 0, what happens, this d of 0 actually goes to d variable here. Okay, d variable is found, then it is going to search index value here. You see here, with clarity I will give you d of 0, right? This is actually what is happening. And with this JVM is searching d variable. Yes, d variable is found, and it stores some of the references. Now JVM is going to that reference. Okay, found that reference, and what additional information I have given of 0, that means index, that is going to index. Yes, index is found. That's the reason this 1 is fetched. This is what exactly happens inside JVM, and how JVM is fetching the values. Okay, and let us see string. Of course, string is also a collection of characters. That means let us take it as an array, but it is not a formal array like 1 2 3 by keeping indexes. And it contains a separate memory is is created, because compiler don't know how many values or how much big string you are going to insert. Let me take a string like this. Okay, this is my string. This is my string. This is bigger. This is bigger than this. Then how that can be stored, or how this big string can be stored here? This is not possible, right? That's the reason a separate memory is created for every string. And as the same way what the JVM is doing in array, the same thing is done also in the string case, because compiler or JVM don't know how much long length of string that the user or the client or a developer wants to give to it. That's the reason, that's the main reason why a separate memory is created. You have to take care on this. Okay, and guys, up to now we have discussed what is a primitive data, what is a data type, and how many types of data types are there, like primitive and non-primitive. and what are the drawbacks of primitive data types, what urged developers to develop a reference type of data types, and also in some of the reference data types we have some drawbacks in array. Okay, and that's the reason why we have used class, right? And we are implementing by using class. And then now something I have to tell you. Of course, everybody knows this, but still, it's my responsibility to tell. Primitive data types, ranges, and sizes. Okay, you all know. If you want to know, please Google it, and you can know. And there is nothing much to explain about this. The only thing, the main intention of me is to explain in this video how memory diagrams are allocated, okay, for primitive data types and non-primitive data types. Hope so I have achieved my target. And still guys, if you are not understanding, please comment so that I can interact with you. And now we have one concept is left. Whenever, please see here, whenever I have used static keyword and saving this, compiling, I got an error. Like see here, illegal start of expression. Okay, now you can get it out how this error is coming, and is there any different kinds of errors like this? Yes, definitely. Illegal start of expression because of static method that already we have discussed previously. And some different errors are, see here, we can see common errors that we encounter when we are working with data types. So here some are some of compile time errors and some one real time error, runtime error which we get. Let us see illegal start of expression. This we know when we use a static variable inside a static member, or when we use an expression, illegal expression, we'll get this error. And cannot find symbol, this is also a compile time error. Yes, I'm going to tell you. Okay, now what I'm doing is, see here, I'm taking B here. Instead of assigning 10, I have taken B and saved this, compiled. Yes, see here, we got an error like cannot find symbol. What it cannot find? It cannot find symbol B. Okay, because B is not initialized, or B is not at all declared. B is not at all declared. That's the reason why it cannot find symbol. Okay, and of course unclosed char literal, the name itself says that we have not closed it. We have not closed it. And see here, just a practical, I will give you a practical. Okay, let me keep it as 10 and char ch is equal to, what do we have to do? Generally we have to write a character like this. Okay, let me take this so that you can understand very well. Now I have saved it. Oh sorry, now I have saved it, and now I am compiling. Yes, of course it's compiled. Now what is unclosed char literal? I'm not closing char literal and I'm compiling it. See here, we are getting an error that unclosed char literal. This is what, if we are not closing this character literal properly, then we get this kind of errors. Then empty char literal, of course, instead of writing a character in it, if we write empty characters like this, we will get this kind of error, empty character strings. And unexpected types, incompatible types, possible loss of precision. These three errors you will encounter in convertible types also. Sorry, these four types of errors you will encounter when you are casting an operator. Okay, when you are casting two incompatible types, you can get incompatible types error. And if you are casting a large range value to small range value, let us take double value is casted to integer value. At that time we can get possible loss of precision. And inconvertible types, integer cannot be converted to boolean, right? At that time you can get inconvertible types of error. Okay, and also this class cast exception you will get in, what you can say, casting, which I will tell in next video, what is casting and types of casting and all stuff. Guys, I think you have understand the basics about this data types and their memory location. Hope so I have reached my target, and thank you guys, thanks for your patience listening to my video. Thank